Any operating system must have a language that allows the user the ability to interact with it in order to program, create, and use that system. Our reality is a system created by Allah, by Him saying, "Be," before it was. He then created our forefather Adam and his wife, and taught Adam the names, all of them, giving our family, mankind, knowledge and the ability to use, interact, program, and create within this system. Our forefather was warned by his creator of an enemy who refused to accept Adam's new power and authority. He was proud, arrogant, and a supremacist. This enemy of ours forgot to be grateful for what he was given by Allah, namely, that which he was prideful of in the first place. He then refused to submit to the will of Allah and refused to ask for forgiveness when he had the chance. And instead of taking responsibility, blamed Allah for his actions and pleads for respite in order to prove, among other things, that he is better than us, and told his creator that he will mislead us, make us ungrateful, and turn us away from Allah's mercy. Allah gave mankind, Adam and his wife, free will, the ability to choose between paths. Every choice leads to a path, keeps you on one, or takes you off one. Allah's path results in us receiving His love, care, and protection in the now and eternity. Allah, being the most loving and caring, gives us everything we need to know about this ability and what it entails, without leaving anything out. He warned us about the shaitan, and we became accountable for what we did. The shaitan was successful, or so it seemed. He manipulated Adam and his wife. He used his words to deceive them and turned them away from Allah's command, which altered the path mankind was on. They no longer can be in the garden in their newfound state. However, Adam, from what he learned from Allah, pleaded for forgiveness and took responsibility for his actions, unlike the shaitan, and Allah forgave him. Allah then told Adam that he and his family will live on earth for a time and will die there, a place where there will be enmity and tests before returning. He was told that if guidance from Allah reaches us, then we should take it, and we would then not fear or be distressed, nor regret or go astray. We would be protected. But if we don't take it, the guidance, then a troubled life here and the worst punishment in the hereafter awaits us. Allah made us all testify to the fact that He is our Lord or Creator and Sustainer before we were born in this reality here, so that we would not claim that we were unaware when judged. This is why we intuitively know that Allah is the Creator and Sustainer, as well as what is morally correct and what is wrong according to His laws. Guidance and reminder came down to mankind throughout time since then, and was always altered, corrupted, and used to lead mankind away from Allah's straight path. The shaitan said he would wait for us on Allah's straight path, which is defined in Surah Al-An'am 6, ayat 151 to 153. Say thou, come, I will recite to you what your Lord has made unlawful for you, that you ascribe a partnership with Him to anything, while towards parents good conduct, and kill not your children out of poverty. We will provide for you and for them, and approach not sexual immoralities, whether open or concealed, and kill not the soul which Allah has made unlawful. Save a right, that He enjoined upon you, that you might use reason. And approach not the property of the fatherless, save with what is better, until he reaches his maturity, and fulfill the measure and the balance with equity. We task not any soul save to its capacity. And when you speak, be just, though he be a relative, and the pledge of Allah fulfill. That He commanded you, that you might take heed. And this is my straight path, so follow it, and follow not other ways, for then will you be parted from His way. That He commanded you, that you might be protected, guarded, in prudent fear. The shaitan said, then I will come to them from between their hands and from behind them, and from their right, and from their left, and you will find most of them ungrateful. The Shaitan's plan is to lead mankind astray from Allah's straight path, the path in which will lead to success in this life and the next. The Shaitan knew that Allah existed, but he did not worship or serve Allah. The early idolaters knew that there was a creator, Allah, but they thought and believed that worshipping or serving their idols would bring them closer to Allah and that they would intercede for them. Those were their ilahs, Arabic for what the average man or woman think they mean when they say God or gods. An ilah is that which you worship or serve, and what you worship is what you love most, that which fills your heart. Allah, there is no worship worthy except Him. The Shaitan wants us to worship anything but Allah, to instead of having Allah fill our hearts with His light, have it filled with our own desires, money, power, status, family, tribe, sex, women, material gain, authority, government, religion, entertainment, celebrity, to love those things with the love due only to Allah, even though we might know that Allah is the Creator. This is what setting up partners beside Allah means, and is the only unforgivable act. The heart, like everything else, was created with purpose. One of its duties, which we have no control over, besides lifestyle choice, is the pumping of it by Allah, keeping us alive physically. But the most important duty it has is in our control, which is to allow it to hold Allah above all else in it, by being grateful. This will keep us alive and healthy spiritually, which will then lead to following and putting into action Allah's laws and commandments. Everything we suffer from is rooted in the heart, as it is where ingratitude, arrogance, pride, fear of the unknown, hatred, envy, jealousy, anger, stubborn intolerance, depression, etc. sit. This is why Allah said that if we put the hearts right, everything else would follow. We would then gain the ability to see reality for what it is, actually hear what is said by another, and have good balanced thoughts, emotions, and actions. And that on the day of resurrection, the only thing that will matter and benefit us is if we come to Him with a pure, healthy heart. The Shaitan wants us to change what Allah has perfectly created and to commit excess, to exceed bounds, and to do so using our own volition, free will, so that we will have no excuse in Allah's court. Allah gave us all we need. We know how the Shaitan works and we know how we work. It's in the Quran, and before that was in the Injil and the Torah, etc., before they were altered by the Shaitan using men's hands. However, there is a difference this time. This time Allah said that the Quran is protected and that it is in a pure Arabic tongue. So, if the Quran is protected in a pure Arabic tongue, and we know that the Shaitan will try to divert others away from its true message and to use it to mislead others by, how will he do so? Language. Language is first, before thought, logic, and action. We use language in order to make good, thought-out ideas that then become choices and actions. The Shaitan knows this and uses this against us. If he corrupts the language we use, he has corrupted our decision-making process at its core. So, he corrupts all language on this planet. Words don't mean what they intrinsically mean. Truth becomes falsehood, and falsehood becomes truth. Take examples from words spoken by the average English speaker today. Words like social justice, woke, and liberal exhibit the opposite meaning in the real world. Those who fight for social justice today are actually fighting for social injustice and are unjust themselves. Those who are labeled as woke are those who exhibit qualities of ignorance, blindness to reality and truth, and are as if asleep or slept. And those who call themselves liberals want bigger government, which means less freedom. Since the Quran and Allah's words are protected, the Shaitan had to make us see those same words mean something else. Preferably something that will cause us suffering in this life and the next. So take words like Salah, for example. To the average believer in Allah, it has become synonymous with ritualistic prayer. So instead of following closely or adhering to Allah's laws and fulfilling their duties as men and women of faith, which is what is meant, prayer and reciting Quran is part of our following closely or adhering to our duty, but it is not what is meant entirely. The shaitan now made them ineffective. Yes, they have the Quran, but their actions are mostly based off of input that is not from the Quran, and instead from external sources unprotected by Allah. Thus, they cannot benefit from the Quran but little. In order to benefit from the Quran, we are meant to implement the guidance in our daily lives. But most who claim to follow it implement what comes from outside the Quran and reserve the Quran portion of their faith to memorization and recitation during ritual prayers. Their character, standards, and laws, when it comes down to it, are not from the Quran, but from external sources. They are claiming that it is not enough as guidance, that it is inapplicable in our daily lives without other books besides it. It is too vague for their liking. We need more detail, they say, even pointing fingers and claiming those who implement the Quran instead of their books are going to the fire. The Quran is not detailed enough for you? Is your Creator unable to guide you without middlemen? This question will bring out in you how you really feel. I am grateful that I will not have to defend those claims against the author of the Quran. I find that it has more detail than we have time. The example of those who were given the Torah but then failed to uphold it is like the donkey that is carrying a cargo of books. Miserable indeed is the example of the people who denied Allah's signs. Allah does not guide the wicked people. 62:5. Their example is not given to us for no reason. They too wanted more detail in order to implement Allah's book. They too had their own hadith literature called the Talmud as instruction. I am not here to tell you that if you follow the hadith, the Talmud, or any other books besides the books of Allah, that you are this or that. Just consider what I am saying. And when it is said to them, follow what Allah has sent down, they say, nay, we follow that wherein we found our fathers, even though their fathers did not reason and were not rightly guided. 170. The language of the Quran is from classical Arabic, not modern Fusha standard Arabic, even though it is rooted in classical Arabic, and from the Quran itself. Allah defines His terms within the book itself. If you bring in term definitions from outside the Quran or from outside the original Arabic it was written in, you're opening the door to the meddling hand of the shaitan. The same extends to the Quran as a whole, not just the words themselves. Approach the Quran without any preconceived notions carried over from external sources such as the hadith literature, for example, and then you would not have to ask, but how do we pray? The covenant with Allah, Al-Fatiha, is serious business. Like any contract, you want to know the terms, definitions, and conditions of that contract. You have to really know what each word means, and not just trust what an authority is telling you, especially when you know that our enemy, the shaitan, and his tribes from both his progeny and from mankind are going to use language to cause harm in this life and the next, if he is allowed by Allah, and that they had all this time to plan and put their plans to work in order to infiltrate all positions of leadership, power, and influence, including religious positions of power and authority. This answers the questions and statements I often get of, why would they do that? Or, they can't all be in on it. Or, why would they lie? Or, what do they gain by doing that? Or, they can't all be wrong. Or, I can't imagine that there is such a conspiracy going on. Narcissists, psychopaths, and anyone who has lost their light by not worshipping Allah is going to be an instrument of the shaitan, knowingly or unknowingly. They will lie to you and others, including themselves, and the majority will follow the lie. It is what it is. The shaitan's progeny will tempt you to drift away from the straight path, to harm yourself and others, and to say about Allah what you have no knowledge. The only ones who will be protected are those who are cautious and take the guidance, and remember. Everything we do in this life is recorded, whether an atom's weight of good or an atom's weight of evil, and it will be shown to us in the day of judgment in the court of Allah. So make sure that you fill up the contents of your life story with good heroic deeds. It's your duty. And follow thou not that whereof thou hast no knowledge. The hearing, and the sight, and the heart, each of these is to be accounted for. 1736.